Everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna walk you through the next step in writing our point and counterpoint writing assignment. So at this point, you should have this brainstorming and organizational chart filled in. I have a little bit of it filled in as the example. So you'll have a lot more information that you're able to use than I technically do, but for the sake of my time, I only filled in a little bit of it. So you're going to want to pull this up so that you have access to it. And then you're also going to want to pull up a blank doc that you can write your outline on. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth between this sheet and then the outline that I've created for you to see as an example. You can certainly access this on the assignment. I'm going to attach it as soon as I'm done here, along with this video recording. So you can either use this or use the outline itself as the example. We're going to be writing in MLA format just to practice that. Although you might not be majoring in a liberal arts area, communications area, English, some of the other liberal sciences that there are, like politics and stuff like that, they all use MLA, especially when you're taking freshman courses. They'll revert to MLA, but as soon as you get out of that, depending on what your major is, they'll be using some other form of citing sources when you're writing different papers like lab reports and stuff like that. The next most common one is APA. The reason why we teach you MLA first and in high school is because it's the easiest to learn, and once you kind of know the ins and outs of doing that, it's easy to kind of morph the other types into what you know about MLA with a little bit of guidance. So here we go. All right, on the blank sheet, you're going to want to do your typical MLA heading with the header. So first thing I did was my name, my teacher's name, and if you don't know how to spell my name, it's here on the example for you so that you have that. The class that I'm taking, and then the date in MLA format. I usually have to take at least a point off for people because they don't realize that the day comes before the month, followed by the year, and you'll want to put the day in which it is due. So this outline is going to be due on Friday, so you'll have the same date right here. It's the 8th of May, 2020. Okay, to insert the header right here, in case you don't know how to do it on Google Docs, you're going to double click in the space. It'll open the header. You'll go to Insert, Page Numbers. You're going to want to click the first one in the upper left corner. Okay, that will insert the number for you and change the number on every page after that. And then as you head into the header, you're going to want to make sure that you write your last name where I have highlighted right here. Make sure you put a space between your last name and the page number so that it doesn't run together. And then you can click out. You want to hit one indentation and center the text and write a title for your paper. At this point, if you have a title for your paper, you can put it in there. If you don't, you could simply name it the title of the assignment, which is Point and Counterpoint. Okay, it's point and counterpoint outline for this assignment. As you notice, the text is not any larger, it's not bolded, it's not in italics, it's not underlined. In MLA format, titles are simply in the same font and same size as everything else. Okay, you're again going to hit enter and left align your text. Here I have a thesis statement, so you're going to write out the word thesis statement with a colon. Okay, followed by that, you're going to come up with the main idea of what you're writing in the point section of your article. And the point section is your stronger argument. So I'm sticking with the same topic that I came up with brainstorming to make this easy for you guys. So my topic is school start times. And my stronger point is that schools should begin early in the morning or stick with their regular start times. Okay, and my counterpoint is the opposite of that. So my thesis statement is one sentence. It tells what the point is, and it gives a general idea of why I'm taking that stance. So here's my example. Students should maintain regular start times for school because there are more benefits than drawbacks. So as you can see, there's two parts to this thesis statement, which makes it a good one. I'm stating what the side is, okay, maintain regular start times. And then I'm giving a because, okay? My why after the because does not want to be so specific that this entire part is only about one thing. So for example, if I said in my thesis statement, students should maintain regular start times for school because they will need this in the real world. In the rest of my paper, I can only write about the fact that they'll need this in the real world. I can't hit on any other ideas or any other points. So as much as your thesis statement is specific to what your paper is going to be about, you want to make sure that it can cover all of the paragraphs that are within your paper. Okay? So you're going to write that in sentence form. That's going to be one of the only sentences, there's one more sentence, that is on your outline. When you write an outline and you're in the body of the outline, it's going to be really important that you do not write sentences. You're going to want to maintain writing phrases and really try and shorten those phrases as much as you can. Usually, if you have more than 7 to 10 words in a phrase, you're borderline too many to go from. Once you realize that you're supposed to have phrases and you have your thesis statement, all of you are going to have the same outline as far as what is in Roman numeral number 1, Roman numeral number 2, and the capital letters, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Everyone's going to have those words, so it'll look exactly like it looks on my paper. The easiest way to do that is to go up here to the bullet points, okay, and hit the drop down for the bullet points. Sorry, not the bullet points, the number list, and pick the one with the Roman numeral. So you should be in the second row, the second one from the left. That is the one that follows MLA format. Okay, so type point, hit enter and tab, and it'll give you the letter A. Write introduction. Okay, under the introduction, you're going to have 3 different parts. You're going to need to have a hook in that paragraph. Okay, the hook is going to be the way that it grabs the reader's attention. So in some way you want to make your topic interesting. Most people describe writing this type of paragraph, an introduction paragraph, as an upside down triangle. So you think of it as really broad on the flat part of the upside down triangle. And then as you write more within that paragraph, you get more specific until you get to the point. So the hook is really broad, and then you have credibility and your thesis statement. So although there's 3 parts to this paragraph, you shouldn't just have 3 sentences. Your hook is going to take up a few more than just one sentence, as is your credibility. And within these things, you need sentences that kind of help you transition between your ideas. So you can't just go from one to the next without adding something that makes it a little bit fluid. So here in my outline, I'm using phrases to write what I think I'm going to be expanding upon within my paper. For my hook, I'm going to use the craziness of the COVID crisis and how it's affected education related to the start times. So in my head, I'm thinking about things from a teaching perspective about how kids are waking up at different times and not necessarily emailing me or talking to me within, the normal hours of school, which is fine, by the way. Don't take this as the fact that I'm critiquing you. But I can use what's happening now to kind of hook people into the topic that I'm going to be talking about. The credibility that I'm using is that I've been teaching, and it's given me the perspective of why I think this is more beneficial than drawing back. So I'm going to expand on that, what I've seen in teaching, without using personal pronouns like I and me. I'm going to say teachers or students to refer that to them as a bigger group of people. We'll talk about that in a few later lessons as well. The last part is going to be your thesis statement. Instead of rewriting this entire sentence that you have listed above, you could simply just write the word thesis statement for number 3. In the body, these are going to be where your paragraphs occur that expand upon your thesis statement. In my directions for the assignment, I outlined that you'll need at least 2 body paragraphs. You can certainly have more, but you cannot have any less. In the body paragraphs, you need a few requirements. Okay, you'll notice if you hit enter and tab over, it'll give you the number 1. This number 1 is what we call a claim. So I'm making a statement that supports my thesis statement. I'm claiming this to be true. So I'm claiming that students need structure in their lives, which is a benefit to regular school start times. Okay, if you see I hit tab again and I have letters A through D, this is where I'm going to include some of my own ideas and some of my research that support that students need structure. So this is where I'm going to start to really go back and forth between this page and my outline. You'll see that on my brainstorm sheet, this quote talks about how students are far busier and more scheduled and more structured. So I think that's a good idea to include in this paragraph. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put research so that I know that it's from my brainstorm sheet. I'm going to write the author's last name that it came from. So if you look here, it came from Mance. And then I use the first few words from the quote with the ellipses. Ellipses are the 3 dots. This way I know when I'm writing my paper, when I get to this part, as I'm typing this in, I can go back and just copy and paste this if I need to, or at least I know where to type it from. There's no reason for you to type it out completely in this outline. It's just some extra work, some copying and pasting and busy work that you don't need to do. If a teacher requires you to do an outline in the future, I would clarify with whoever that teacher is if they want you to write out the entire quote, because some people do and some people do not. So that might be something that you want to look into. Letter B and letter C are my own ideas just about what I think students need structure for and how it would help prove my thesis statement. And then I go back to some research that I wanted to include from my brainstorm sheet, which is also by the same author. So that's why I use the first 3 words of the quote to help me out so I know which one goes in which spot. Okay, then I have a second paragraph, another claim that the cost would increase if we did not maintain the regular schedule. So in this case, I could also say the costs would stay status quo, meaning stay the same. It depends on how I want to word that claim when I actually go to write the paragraph. So I'm just going to keep both of those things there for right now. You can see that I went, again, letter A through D. You can see that I have the same amount of research and information in each paragraph right now. It doesn't mean that I won't add more later on. It also doesn't mean that I will definitely use all of it, because maybe as I'm writing, something just doesn't really fit the way that I want it to fit. As you're writing your outline, you should have at least 3 to 4 things in each paragraph that you can provide evidence for. You can see in number 2, I actually have an E. It just kind of looped down onto the next page here. So after you have your 2 body paragraphs, you're going to maintain the idea that you have a conclusion as well. The conclusion in MLA format is exactly the opposite of the introduction. So instead of it being an upside down triangle, you now have a regular triangle. So you're going from something specific to something more broad. So the first thing you'll want to do is reiterate the main points that you went over in that part of the article. You'll also want to include some information about how these decisions or how this topic might affect people in the future, and then you end it with a call to action. So what do you want people to do after reading this? Okay, this assignment is a little bit different because you have two distinct opposite papers going on to kind of make one article. So we do the same thing in the counterpoint section. You'll see it's a Roman numeral number 2. It follows the same idea. You have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. You'll have a hook, credibility, and a second thesis statement. The difference here being is you're not necessarily against the counterpoint. So you're not writing about this in a negative way. You're simply giving information the same way you did for your point about the opposite side of an issue. So you shouldn't be bashing or finding things that negate whatever the counterpoint is. You want to write about it like you are kind of believing in this side as well. My second thesis statement says later school start times have the potential to get more motivation and productivity from students. So throughout the rest of my paper, I'll be writing about motivation and productivity only. I won't really go into any other ideas. Okay, so in my body, my two claims are that students are more productive and students will be overall healthier. Basically, this idea leads to motivation and productivity, so I can include it in there. I included research and some of my own ideas. And then I also have a conclusion on this side. Okay, you'll notice that the entire outline in MLA format is double-spaced. You're going to want to make sure that you check it for any of the mistakes, grammar, spelling. I would recommend putting Grammarly on your dashboard with Google Docs. It's helpful. It's the red and green lines that you see below here, and when you click on it, it gives you options of how you should fix it. So it's fast, quick, and it appears right in your document. When you're done with this, you're going to transfer it to a PDF document for me and upload it into the outline portion of the assignment. From here, you're going to take your brainstorm document and this outline, and we're going to start to make our rough draft at the beginning of next week. As always, if you have questions or something's not clear to you, make sure you reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you.